My second speaker kit that I ever built when I was about 17, 18 years old was a Dynaudio kit. Now I'm so excited to listen to one of their latest lineups and see how it performs.
Dynaudio EVOKE 20. Designed by people who love music, the EVOKE 20 has been crafted with hundreds of hours of listening and measuring. These tests are performed with real music in real rooms. Dynaudio claims that when you listen to your collection, you know what you're hearing is what they heard. That is a bold statement and worthy of a trial. Let's get into it.
Welcome to Hi-Fi. I'm Marcos, this is Kurt, and today we're talking about the Dynaudio EVOKE 20s.
It's Dynaudio. But don't worry, you might notice in this video that I myself will say Dynaudio, because that's how I used to say it way back a long time ago.
Dynaudio EVOKE 20s. Spec-wise, the Dynaudio EVOKE 20s feature a 28mm soft dome tweeter, a 7-inch MSP woofer, which is a magnesium salt silicate polymer woofer, features an 86 decibel sensitivity, 180 watt rating and 6 ohm.
One quick thing to add to the design is their tweeter. It's their latest Esotar. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that one right too as well. Usually what they do is they always, in this series, just like their others, they always derive it from their higher end series, which was from the Confidence and as well as the Dynaudio Special 40s.
Looks wise, the Dynaudio EVOKE 20s are available in many different finishes, from a walnut veneer, blonde wood veneer, and also high gloss black and white. One thing I really like about the EVOKEs is just how clean and simple they look. There's nothing too flashy about them, but everything is well sorted and really well finished.
The same minimalist looks that I do like in these speakers. The cabinets, the way the gloss is, it looks really premium. There's got to be at least 5-6 coats of lacquer. So overall, I love this minimalist look.
Another thing I noticed compared to traditional bookshelf designs too, they feature a wedge shape, which is kind of cool.
And they're also probably doing that to just have uneven sides in the cabinet to reduce any resonance.
Performance-wise, the EVOKE 20s definitely delighted my ears. They had really nice impactful bass, nice and neutral, and over the entire frequency spectrum, they were really well detailed.
One thing that stood out to me speakers is they are neutral, so their presentation in the soundstage and overall is not too forward, not too back. What really does stand out is its transparency. It's almost like there's not much in its way of the signal. You're not really hearing the speaker that much, if you know what I mean. And in our listening, in our music, when we're doing our tests, it becomes really apparent with one of its, and that being one of its strongest characteristics.
I did find they had a bit of a disappearing act. When it came to our classic volume dB test, at around 60 decibels, the EVOKEs had a really nice presentation and kind of the same. They kind of disappeared in the room. I still found them to be impactful. The mid-range and highs were extremely well detailed. One thing I kind of wished for, even at lower volume levels, I wish that bass was a little bit more present.
Yeah. With the bass, I think what you're noticing is, I thought lower volume is because it's not exaggerated. This one is a lot more linear than most speakers. And I know, again, because you always like a little bit extra kick in the bass, is why you probably find it a little bit low. But overall, You can't hear everything, especially on the top end, because the speakers are just so transparent. Even at very low volumes, you really can pick up the intricacy. And this is one of, at that price range, is a very strong performer in that aspect.
At higher listening levels, the Evoke 20s handled it like a champ. For people who like turning it up a lot, they did not break down whatsoever. The presentation was still really nice. The bass got more impactful, and I found the overall sound staging and presence was amazing.
So while listening at higher volumes, with this, because the sensitivity is quite low, we couldn't reach as much. But I know as we hooked up to a bigger amp, we'd be able to take it. But it still did reach some impressive results at just very close to what was it? Very close to 90 decibels. So which is, even with that Hegel amplifier, is more than enough. And one thing with the Dynaudio, yes, that was Dynaudio. Yeah. One thing with the Dynaudio speakers, when you are playing it really loud, because it has quite a bit of dynamics to it, it creates a fun, energetic atmosphere, especially when you're playing live recordings.
When it came to listening to the Evoke 20s, we got 2 tracks that stood out. The first track we listened to, Marsh Otopos. I love this track because it always sucks me right in. It has amazing bass, and it has all these cool spatial effects that I really enjoy listening to. I always feel like I'm going through a tunnel.
When listening to this, you can really just hear right into the music, because the speakers literally, like I was saying before, it disappears. And when you're in this track, what I really noticed compared to especially like also other even speakers is the stage. It seems like there's just a lot of height. And in that organ, the way it's recorded is supposed to create a really deep kind of sound into it and just spread across the whole background, which this did a really good job. One of my favorite things about the speaker is the linearity in the bass. The bass is really smooth. And even when we did do some quick measurements, and the bass was, even in our in-room, was probably one of the more linear ones that I saw. So when you're listening to that track, the way especially that one part where the bass that one bass kind of hits that mid bass, then it goes kind of into that bass drops that spreads across, you're able to hear the difference in tones, which really was exceptional in this speaker.
The second track we listened to was Jan Arden, Insensitive, a live recording as well. What I like about this speaker, it sounds so transparent. It's like you're just right in the room. It gave me that feeling like I'm in the room. She's singing right in front of me. I can really hear all the detail and all the like instruments and strings, everything like that. It was really nice.
When she started singing, right away it reminded me when I listened to her a few years back live. The one thing is what I noticed in the speaker, because its level of detail and transparency, and you really just hear the music, it was that a little bit of like that raspiness in her voice that I can pick up in the speakers, which usually I only find in quite higher end speakers. It did such an excellent job, and it just adds more of that presence and that emotion when you're listening to a live recording or you're live at the concert. One thing that the speakers also did really well is the placement was good. The thing is, because again, you really hear into the music in the speaker, this track, it was very apparent now that I noticed that I think it was the person on the guitarist on the left that was using a pick from the strike of the string to the decay. It created that sound that they're looking for, and because of that level of detail that the speaker has, I can really notice those nuances.
The Evoke 20s perform really well in many different settings, anything from a small room all the way up to a large room, paired with a sub, of course. The thing about the Evoke 20s is if you like playing your music loud, they can handle it. They have awesome impact and kind of like what we talked about, amazing detail and transparency.
Overall, this is really, for me, my type of speaker. I'm building a lot of studios in the past. It really kind of like my thing. One of the reasons for that is when going back to listening to her live, at this price range, this is one of the closest thing that gets me there. Now, is it ever going to really replicate seeing it live at the concert? No, it won't. At that price range, got me surprisingly close.
At this price point, it's going to be really tough to find a comparable speaker that provides that much detail and transparency.
With this speaker, I really recommend something that can drive it really well. Whether it's a lot of the newer amplifiers that use the Encore, like the M33, the Cambridge Audio, Evo that we reviewed, will work. Another thing too as well that I didn't really touch upon was it's a really fast and very rhythmic speaker. Timing is excellent. If you want to keep that, highly recommend going with companies like Name Audio. I don't know if Denzen's still around, but they're another one. Lin Audio. They're all going to give you that kind of really superb timing and kind of just that rhythmic kind of sound in the music. If you're looking for something that's kind of soften up, a brand like Hegel comes to mind. And if you're looking more for just a really transparency and like Moon Audio, I would suggest maybe give that a try and see what works for you.
Thanks for watching our video today on the Dynaudio EVOKE 20. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you've got a Dynaudio story, let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.